Right, update. Took the van out this morning. There's a bit of a puddle of water on the top of the van and had a few drips coming through around the wooden surround. So I think I hadn't sealed it around the front edge of the max fan on top of the van enough. So I've stripped out all the old Sikaflex and resealed it properly. So hopefully it'll stop. So replace the side panels now with 40mm PIR board. Just waiting for some more stick pin to come so I can stick the other one up there. So the next job is I'm now starting to think about running all the cables. So I'm going to start with the 240 volts. That's really quite straightforward. Plan is to have a socket with the electrical board, socket for the kitchen, and then probably have one on the other side where the table's going to go. So yeah, so I'm going to start running that first. That's quite straightforward. Some conduit for the 240 volt to run through, so it's going to be a separate run to the 12 volt. Yeah, and that's where we are. That's the job at the moment. Yeah, let's see how it goes. Right, next weekend, and what is it, Saturday afternoon, just gone 3 o'clock. So, vast majority of the first fix electrics have been pulled, so I've got conduit running everywhere, absolute spaghetti down there, but pretty much everything is now run. So I've got, I think I explained before, the cable's running to what will be the kitchen area, 240 volt over there. So I've got to run the wires for the switches along to there, which I'll get done. So I've got that conduit sitting there with a string in it, so I can pull those. Not sure if you've got any bloody wire left to do that, but there, let's cross that bridge when we come to it. So yeah, conduit goes up. There's a whole bundle of wires, runs all the way along, up, through there, and they're just all stuck together at the moment, but that's going to be for Wi-Fi, television, 12 volt charging sockets, and spotlights, and wire for max fan, and wires for the fan and the light when that goes in, assuming I've got enough wires to go around. And then on the other side I've got one that goes up around the top of the door, down and comes out. That's for all of the heating system down there. So an absolute mess. It's been a right pain to drag these wires. Now I know I didn't need to put it all through conduit all the way through, but once this is all boarded up, I don't really want to have to come and try and find wires which are broken because they're rubbed and shorted or whatever. So yeah, a lot of hard work to pull all those wires. Some of these wiring bundles are seriously thick, but anyway, that's all pretty much done. So just need to make sure I have run everything, which whatever wires I've got left now, which isn't a huge amount. So I might need to get a little bit more, I have to see. And then I think next is going to be put the floor back in, because I've got to the point now where I know I need to cut the bed, so it's going to be lower under the bed, so I get as much depth as possible to put the bikes in on a bike tray without having the bed too high. So we'll cut the bed at the end, so 2 meters, which is roughly about there, and then forward of that will then be the 25mm, and I've got some thin insulation and sound deadening to go on the floor before I put the floor back down there. So yeah, that's the progress so far this weekend, and yeah, maybe more wiring tomorrow, maybe start looking at the floor, or maybe a visit to IKEA to go and pick up stuff for the bed. Don't know yet. TBC. Right, another weekend. Even spring light today. Look, sun's starting to go down, but been a gorgeous day today. Unlike a few other days. Just realised my camera's upside, phone's upside down. There you go. That'll be better. Yeah, gorgeous spring day today. Unlike the past few days. So just about finished first fix electrics now. I've got conduit running bloody everywhere, mainly along that passage there, and then several going up into the roof and coming down in various points, whether it's for wiring for the fan, where the shower will go, wiring for at the far end of the van, for the fan, Wi-Fi, television, all that sort of stuff. Popping out here for the boiler. I cannot get this other 240 volt cable up around the top of the van, so I'm going to send it underneath and bring it up through the floor. And then something I've been looking forward to do is I've been puzzling over this for ages and ages. Is one of the key things you want in the van was to be able to fit the bikes in the van, because they're nice bikes and they ain't going on the back of the van. But equally we wanted the bed to be as low as we could get it, have the clearance under the van. So, and also I didn't want to spend out on huge pricey bed frames. So gone from the Metod rail Scorva beam. Metod rail bolted into the hexagonal holes inside the van using hexagonal rev nuts. Scorva beams mounted. This last beam I've just chucked on there, but in reality it's going to be on this pillar here when I work out what height it needs to be at, and then 2 meters down the van because of the length of the van for the mattress. So really pleased with the way it's gone in. I've got a couple more bolts to put in. It's not fixed permanently in place, it's just dry fit if you like, just to see what the fit is, because the main thing I wanted to work out was actually how much clearance I've got with a bike. So this is my road bike. The plan is that I'm going to insulate the main part of the van, but in the back of the van here I'm going to have thin sound deadening insulation, then put the original floor back on top, and then the bikes will be on a slide out drawer, 2 bikes, mine and Joe's. But the plan is that I want to see how much clearance I had with the beams in place without having to start worrying about trying to put them up on extra bits of timber or ply or whatever it might be. And measuring it, I've got 7 centimeters between the top of the seat clamp and the bottom of the Scorva beam. The floor is about 1 centimetre deep, 10 mil deep. The insulation's about 5-6 mil. So I've got about 70 mil, 7 centimetres between the top of the bike and the bottom of the Scorva beams, which is just about enough. It's tight. Does mean I need to take the saddles off, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to take to do that. So dead chuffed with that. I've been pondering over it for ages, but it's something you can't do until you actually put it in and measure it and work out how it's going to go. So yeah, so that's progress so far this weekend. So yeah, crack on. So the next thing after this is going to be measure properly, cut the beam, the Metod rail rather, to the right length, which the end bit will be 2 meters down the van. That will then be the cut-off where the floor then rises up to then have the insulated floor in the main part of the van, and where it's going to drop down and have thin insulation in the garage area. So yeah, really pleased with that, and I think that'll be good. I think it will hold. I think it will. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yeah, go from there. Right, a few, I don't know how many weekends later, one weekend later. So last weekend we fitted the bed. I'll put a picture up somewhere. So that's all where that needs to go. Very happy with that, that's really good. So the next thing is I'm starting to put down some sound deadening and insulation mats. So this is going to be in the garage where it's going to be as low as possible. So I've gone for some Dodo mat, but this is the duo deaden, so it's sound deadening and insulation. I'll patch in on the edges as I go down. Not sure with what yet, partly because this is like 100 quid per roll. You can only order it in 2 rolls and I only need just over a roll, so I'm going to find a maybe a cheaper option just to put down the sides, maybe see how we get on. Doesn't stick particularly well, but in some ways I'm not too fussed about that because it's going to have the floor going on top of it. It does stick okay, but it's not anywhere near as sticky as the insulation stuff. Anyway, so that's going in the garage now, so that'll go all the way down to the end, and then forward of that will be all the battening, traditional flooring, etc. from there on inwards. So yeah, so doing that four of these to go down to the end of the van, and then I'll put the floor back in so I know exactly where the floor will end, and that will then give me the edge to start the first batten along the length, also along the width of the van, and then go lengthways from there and put the insulation in between. So see how that goes. And someone's reversing. Right, so that's the deaden duo down. I am going to patch in around these corners. I'll get some other stuff from Amazon or wherever. Get a small sheet of something. It's going to be similar depth, thickness to put into here. But yeah, finally sticks down. If you just kind of kneel on it as you go through, then it kind of goes into the ridges. But so the floor is going to be flat on top of it anyway, so that will then push it all down. So I'm going to bring the floor back in, bolt that back in temporarily, just so it gives me then the edge to work off, and then I'll start working the battens forward for the rest of the floor. It should be good to have all that back in, because the van is pretty good in terms of the insulation soundproofing. We still get a lot of noise coming up from the floor when you're driving, so being able to put the floor back in, get insulation in it, and get the proper floor in it will be so much better, and then yeah, work from there. Right, so battening is down. Sikaflex most of it in place, well, basically the middle bits. The end bit I've not. All these two lengthways ones, these two lengthways battens, because I strongly suspect at some point I'm going to have to be digging through to put in supports for the double seat, so I don't want to try and have to dig off stuck down batten Sikaflex. So the middle ones are stuck in, the parallels, if you like, the noggins are stuck in, and this end one I've not stuck in yet because I want to make sure that's absolutely aligned with when the floor goes back down where the edge of the floor is. So making good use of lithium battery to hold it all down. It's a heavy bugger, so that does the job. So just about to start cutting up the 25mm insulation PIR board to fit into all the gaps, and then I'll then aluminium tape everything down. Yeah, not deliberately not screwed through the floor. Can't stand screwing into the metal of the van, the floor of the van, more than I absolutely have to. So Sikaflex it is, although these things aren't going to shift afterwards. But then I'm also going to bolt the floor back down in the right places, and then probably end up by filling the holes with some wood or something like that, just to provide a level base. So it's going to be both screwed into the battens, bolted down. Yeah, so the floor ain't going anywhere once it's down. And a little while later, got the old spaceship approach. So everything's down, taped down. Just leaving that one free at the moment, so I can just tweak it if I need to when I put the floor in. And yeah, done. So I'm really pleased to be able to get the original floor back in again. Don't particularly want to walk on the Celotex if I can help it, and you can get it out of the garage as well. So yeah, job done.